Today's video, I'm going to show you how you can make your drums more powerful. I'm going to show you a technique called parallel compression. What I have right now is just a track that I was developing, and I'm just going to be working on the drums only. But I'm actually not going to add the kick into what I'm going to be doing because I want the kick to be free and be independent of whatever processing that I'm going to be doing to the other drums, the percussion, the hats, and everything else, but not touching all the other sound, the strings, the VSTs, and all these other bass lines and everything. So this is how it sounds like right now. So that's nice and basic. So what I have right now is all my sounds are routed into my mixer. So I'm just going to select from here all the way to there. So this insert 22 is an empty channel in the mixer. So that's the one I'm going to create a bus. So I'm just going to right click there and say track routing, create submix. And then I'm just going to call this percussion, a perk over there. So this is now the perk master. So all these blue tracks are now being sent into this one channel. So I can just mute. So I can just solo all of these, and then I can just have only these guys playing. Let me see if I can solo only. You know what? Let me just mute everything else then. And the kick. And I'm gonna mute the vocal. So that's what we're going to be working, on right now. So what people usually do is that they usually add a compressor to the perk master like that. But I usually like to add it over here on the sends because I already have a delay and a reverb send. So I'm just going to come here and rename this channel to comp, which is my compressor. And I'm going to load a Pro C. What I love about this compressor is I love that it has nice presets. Like if I go into drums, it has a parallel compression preset. So I can select that. And what I love about this compressor as well is that you can actually tell it which frequencies you want it to affect and which frequencies to leave out. So it's basically kind of a filter on the effect itself. So if you come at the bottom right here, you can choose which frequencies you want to actually cut out. So the frequencies that are in between these triangles in between here are the frequencies that are going to be affected, and the other ones are going to pass. So I can choose which frequencies I want to leave out. So sometimes I like to leave out a little bit of the high end so that it's nice and free, and I just want to control the mid-range mostly because that's where all these percussion sounds are concentrated, on that mid-range area in the EQ. That's where everything is just going to be colliding because all of these sounds, most of them are mid-range sounds. I have only a few hats and bass. I want my bass to be on its own because I'm going to process it on its own individually, which is my kick and my bass lines and everything else. With that added, I'm just going to now send the pre-master and just now increase here. So now let me play back the drums on their own, and then I'm going to start increasing the compression so you hear what it's doing. Let me switch it off. On. So you can hear the difference. Everything is really gluing together nicely and coming together nicely. Now the settings of the compressor, what they usually do is that the ratio is usually really high and the threshold is really low. It's like really sausaging out the sound that is getting in. So what we're doing is just adding a squashed out sound underneath the nice soft sound that we have. So this technique is really amazing because when you now just throw in compression on its own, even if you add a little, it'll be nice, but then it won't really work as well as parallel compression. This is what they also do on vocals. So you can also do this on vocals if you want your vocals to be nice and thick, but just to be at a point where it's not too loose, but not too tight and not too squashed at the same time, but be really powerful. But if you're not using a Pro C, if you may be using a FL Studio compressor, you can just do it and then add an EQ on top of it. Then it will just give out the frequencies that you cut out. So you can just add a parametric EQ and load this preset that just cuts out the ends, a high pass and a low pass filter. Then you just trim out the size that you want. So this kind of EQing is basically the same as that EQing that you're seeing here on the Pro C. So I hope you guys find this really helpful. I want to see you guys do this in your music as well. This is how you can get really nice, powerful drums without having to stack, you know, so much drums and just adding a lot of compression onto the bus. So remember, bussing is very important when you are mixing drums, and in all mixing. I do it in vocals as well, and in most of the work that I do when I'm doing mixing. That's why some of the sounds that I put out are really nice and tough, and they sound really good. So I hope you found this really helpful. If you did, leave a like down below, and don't be afraid to share the videos. Let other producers see what we're doing here so that they can also get the knowledge that will help them. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you're new here, subscribe. I'm gonna check you guys out in my next video. I'm X and I'm out. Peace.